want to start off this video today talking about a couple of topics that I've been seeing a lot of questions about recently, and then we'll get to the action portion of what I'm working on out here after we cover these topics. So the first one would be, when should you start your grass seed, or when should you start seeding for your fall projects? A lot of people think that you need to wait and look at a soil temperature and be right into a zone of a certain soil temperature in order to get your grass seed down. But what I've found is that that doesn't really need to be the case, especially here in the Midwest or up in the northern climates, where sometimes you have a warmer fall, and if you're waiting all the way until you get to a certain window, what's usually going to happen is that doesn't give you enough time to get the grass growing, mature, before you get to your first frost dates and you get a hard freeze on that new grass. What I've always done is look more at that frost date for us here in central Iowa. That's about the first to second week of October, somewhere right in there. And I want to have probably at least 8 weeks of time, if possible, to get my grass going and get it mature and as healthy as possible before you get to that tough first winter season that you're putting on that new lawn. Even in sometimes some of the heat that you might say, oh, I can't plant grass in 90-degree weather. Well, as long as you're watching your irrigation, making sure you're keeping water on it, and you're watching for any fungus problems. If you're still in a more humid environment, it can be difficult to seed into that heat and into that type of weather. But if you're watching those two things, it's still going to work out fine. I've done this so many times. All my bluegrass projects, I always have to start fairly early. And rye, I'd say for our location here, I can get away with into early September and still be okay with it. But right now, I'd like to be getting my bluegrass down pretty soon if possible. So that gives you an idea as far as timing goes on seeding, what you should be looking for. Second thing I wanted to touch on today was about when should you start to work on your yard after a lot of summer stress that's happened this year, I know in so many places. When should you be looking for some of that fall revival to happen? I would look more at your forecast with this. If you have a turn in the weather like we've just had here, where today it's about in the mid-70s, the next 10-day forecast looks like very low 80s to sometimes still just in the mid-70s or so. That is the time frame when I'm going to start to look at getting into my fall program. Done some videos in the past on that fall program if you want to know what to do with it for cool season grass, so I will link one of those videos here if you want to follow that. But now would be the time, if you can start to irrigate again. I know a lot of people are on some sort of water restrictions in various areas, so if you can do that, that's okay. But as soon as you start to see some green coming back into the yard after that summer stress, hopefully you've had some rain, or hopefully you're going to get some rain here in the next few weeks. Once those 90-degree, upper 80-degree temperatures start to look like they're fading, that's when I'd start to think about getting my first application of fall fertilizer going. It doesn't have to be just by the calendar. You can look more at your weather and see how things are trending. Again, check out that fall video if you'd like to learn more about that. Lastly, I do have my sale still going on the renovation and overseeding guide. If you're doing a project this year, you want to see all the information in one spot and not have to look through a whole bunch of videos. That guide is still on sale right now for $20. So check that out if you would. Now let's get into it. Just love that machine, so much versatility to it. Today I'm back out here to continue working and preparing for fall seeding and all this renovation stuff that I'm doing out here. Alright, so this is going to be the real mode section, and I have 22 feet right here by 40 feet long. So I think I'm going to do 4 plots. So I'll do bluegrass, ryegrass, fescue, and fine fescue. So we just need to space these evenly out here and figure out how much space in between I want to leave. I'm thinking that it might make sense for this to just leave the existing grass that's there in between the plots and just mow it slightly higher. Okay. And then I will mow those lower, and I think it might look cool just to have every plot lower than the rest of what's already there instead of trying to spray the whole thing. So
love it when a math problem works out.
Haven't done math in a long time. And I'm going to make them 9 feet wide, and since I have grass here, I don't think that I'm going to need the seeding blankets because I forgot I already have established grass. Once I kill it off, there'll be some of that dead material left, and I should be able to hold the seed in place. At least I hope so. So then we got 4 feet in between.
Yeah, 13. And then this is the end down here. 22.
I just finished spraying out these plots right over here. So these are going to be 4 real mode plots of the stuff right behind you that I already have in the taller sections, if you will. So for those of you who want to grab the seed and you're after some real mowing, you want to see what it's going to look like, that is the purpose of what I'm going to be doing over here. I just used a hand can, just one of those small little cheap hand cans to do this. Kelsey and I, of course, measured all this off and tried to square it up as much as we possibly could. And then we just used a piece of cardboard here to get the edge really nice and clean. That way all this is measured out. I'll be able to scalp this off here in about a week or so. We'll see how long it takes to actually get the full kill, but I will scalp this off and I'll show you the whole process on seeding these plots and what I'm gonna do with them. And pretty excited to get going on some new stuff out here, although there's plenty of work always to do with all these other plots. It's exciting when you got something new to work on. The first new plots will be going in really soon. So after 6 weeks of no rain, a lot of 90-degree temperatures, I think I've counted at least 30 days of 90-degree weather since June started. For a cool season lawn, that is a lot of extreme temperature for it. So finally yesterday, we had a day that was perfect. It rained nearly the entire day into the evening. Fairly slow, even rain like you want to soak everything in. So I'm gonna check my rain gauge right now out here at Westbury and see what we got. Looks like right under 1.5 inches. We desperately needed that. And like I said, it wasn't just a rain that came down all in about an hour. It was all day long, so nice soak out of there. Much needed rain. The other thing that allowed me to do was I saw that rain was coming, so I put down a granular application on some of these larger plots, this ryegrass one, which as you can see over here is definitely starting to look much better. And as we transition into cooler weather, it should get a lot better soon. I didn't put anything on this test spot yet, so this is going on, this is 7 weeks now of one application of fertilizer on pretty sandy soil. I'm extremely impressed. We're working on bringing that product out to you, to the public very soon. Then over here where I sprayed these, they're starting to look like they're getting fairly crispy. It will be a week, 2 days from now, so we'll see how they look at about the week mark. Sometimes it takes some time for that product to work, and a lot of people think it's just absolutely instant, but it's not always instant on there. And all of a sudden, it will get really crispy like straw, and we'll be ready to seed at that point. I had some developments with these plots as well as far as what I'm going to do on the inside of these. I did find a landscape fabric that looked like it was going to work for me, so I did order that and I have it. But in the meantime, I've spoken with an irrigation company that's local to try to get a plan for out here, to get a diagram made, to get everything mapped out so that I can possibly have them quickly do some work for me, or otherwise I may end up doing some work on my own, just depending on the time frame. But I don't want to put that fabric down until I have my irrigation figured out, and whether I'm going to be doing an in-ground or whether I'm going to do more of a temporary above the ground system just for the time being until we get everything figured out. So I'm waiting on that to put the fabric down until I get that sorted out, because the worst thing that would happen would be put down the fabric and then I decide, oh, I need to actually dig in all these lines along here and then have to take it back up. So I'm not going to do that. I'll just keep these clean by hand as much as possible in the next few weeks, and hopefully I'll have that thing figured out as to what my plan's going to be, and I'll let you know all that when we get to that point too. Also, I know there's some new people following here and they're wondering What the heck is going on with these plots out here? Well, I sell grass seed. These are examples of that grass seed, and then I'm also working on some future plots of just fun different things with that specific grass seed, or a few different things, testing some various unique products that I may end up selling someday or I may not. Who knows? But that's what's going on. That's why I'm doing this work out here. We're moving out here very, very shortly. Our house is being built up on the hill, right up above where I'm talking right now. If you want to see all that stuff, it's on my separate channel, which I'll link right here. Really don't think that makes a huge difference from the other edger that I was using. That's my old, obviously corded one that you can set at various depths, and it has a wheel and a guide. So on the side here, you know, it doesn't necessarily dig in, but I have it set to as high as it will go, and it cuts through all this stuff just fine, but you got all this here that is hard to remove without making kind of a trench along the side. And I really don't want to do that because I don't want to come off of here and have the front wheels of the mower have dip down in, and then you're going to end up with a spot on the side that just scalps. I'm going to have to think on this for a second. That's definitely better. So I just went along here, instead of trying to dig out all these roots on the edge, I'm really leaving them intact and just breaking the plant off at the crown. Because if I can get this clean and I can leave it about the level that it's at, then it's going to have a nice perfect little spot to put the fabric there. So I think that'll work if I can just get this. If I can get the grass to sort of break off where it's at and not dig a trench there, I think that'll work. I got the edging done on these plots, at least for now, until I figure out the irrigation part, until probably some of it gets torn up if I'm gonna do an in-ground thing, but otherwise, not every line is completely perfect, completely straight, but I didn't want to try to completely tear out a whole bunch of grass in some areas, so it looks a lot better though, and I think it's gonna be good for now. So if you can stay tuned for what's coming up, my plan of action is I'm gonna be taking the power rake through this section right here, where I'm calling it my unique plots. Those are gonna be going in as far as seeding within, hopefully in the next couple days. Then you see these plots right here, these are the real mowing plots. I will be seeding these also very soon. There's another area that I moved some topsoil that I need to fix, and that is right here up at the front of the property. Right there is the entrance to the property. So now we have a map made so that when I'm talking about all this stuff, I can throw that up on the screen and you'll be able to at least get a sense of how big these plots are, where they're at, and it's a little easier to follow. I know it's been kind of difficult, but we had to actually get everything mapped out and make sure that that was all correct. So this just needs to get power raked and smoothed out. Eventually there'll be a little more area over here where I'll be planting some ryegrass into that other plot. This one will be a bluegrass. In the middle here will be my warm season. I have a small Bermuda and small zoysia going in next season. And then on the end, I will have some non-irrigated plots over there. As far as next summer, I'm gonna leave them and just see how everything does without irrigation. So all that seeding is coming up. I'm really looking forward to the process of all that and showing you that in the next couple of videos. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll see you next time.